Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today we are going to be playing with Yorion's Cephalid Breakfast, courtesy of Metallicity. So, here we go. I guess the first thing I want to do is just talk about like the generic combo that this deck is named after. So, Cephalid Illusionist has this ability that whenever it becomes the target of a spell or ability, you mill 3 cards. And there's a couple of things in this deck, like Nomads en-Kor and Shuko, that have equip cost 0. So the general idea here is that you mill your entire deck, putting a couple of Narcomoebas into play. You control Illusionist, Narcomoeba, Narcomoeba. You can then go and cast this Dread Return from your graveyard via the flashback mechanic. And that is going to return a Thassa's Oracle and win the game because you have no library left. So essentially, we are a self-mill combo deck. And kind of, as you'll notice here, we're not necessarily maximizing on all of our combo pieces. This Yorion build has instead opted to go with some redundancy in a different way. You get the Stoneforge Mystic package, which just like allows you to go and tutor up the Shuko as part of your combo. And then you have Recruiter of the Guard, which can find both pieces of the combo, albeit slowly sometimes if you specifically want Shuko. So your Recruiter can go and get your Illusionist, or it can get your Nomads en-Kor, or it can get Stoneforge for Shuko, kind of depending on what you need to do. And then a lot of the rest of this shell is going to end up looking sort of like Esper Vial, where we have things like Soul Herder that can go and blink our value creatures that we're padding the deck with. So kind of the big question with this build is it better to have access to Yorion as a companion, or is it better to just increase the chance that we naturally go and draw our combo pieces? And the Yorion can be kind of attractive here, because you can go play Recruiter of the Guard, get one half of your combo, put Yorion into your hand, like Violet in or something, get the other half of your combo, and try to win with it. But when I've played Cephalid Breakfast in the past, or when I've played against it, I've always just been terrified of just like getting turn 2'd. Just turn 1 Aether Vial, turn 2 Illusionist, Nomads en-Kor, win. And when you're not playing as many copies of those things, and when you're diluting your draws with other cards because you have an 80 card deck instead of a 60 card deck, like those draws don't happen as often. But if your strategy is, I'm not planning on turbo comboing, I am going to be sort of a mid-rangey, weak control deck with the ability to go and have that combo finish, like that's an entirely different story. So we'll kind of see how that plays out in practice. One thing of note to me, and I'm not going to make any changes to this deck list because like this is kind of a wild thing, and with 0 reps with this exact deck list, I don't want to mess with it. It's super surprising to me that like Kaldra didn't make the cut in this deck list, right? Like Kaldra is just absolutely insane. I've just viewed it as objectively better than Batterskull in most situations in Legacy right now. And this deck is choosing not to play it. It's got Jitte, Lion Sash, Batterskull, and the Shuko itself instead. I'm just going to kind of like mentally be keeping track of like, do I want a Kaldra in this deck? As far as the sideboard goes, there's just a lot of things that would slot into an Esper control deck, essentially. There's not anything too exciting there, although there's a handful of multicolored cards that don't particularly see a lot of play. With that, I think I'm going to jump directly into a league. Before I do so, I just want to say thank you for all the likes and comments on the videos in the last couple of weeks. I have absolutely crushed so many of my personal best metrics. So those things are working. They mean a lot. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think by the time this video goes live, I will have a video with over 50,000 views, which is just crazy to me for a legacy video. It makes me so happy. All right, let's battle. Okay. This hand just has to go back. My mana does not work here. This hand looks very unimpressive to me, but on 6, I will keep this. So, like, The difference between having the Cauldra and not is the difference between me feeling like this Stoneforge Mystic wins the game on its own and this just being a reasonable play. Like, Stoneforge Mystic for Batterskull for a long time was a way to win a game of Legacy, and I just don't feel like that's true anymore. Don't have a feel for what the opponent is playing yet. Blue fetch land is a little generic. The basic helps a little bit, but, you know, I don't feel like with certainty I have like a sub archetype figured out yet. Like this could be Grixis control, this could be combo colors. I am just going to get the Batterskull. Without another combo piece in hand, I think this is fine. But again, really wish I had access to Cauldra here. So for example, if our opponent is playing a Grixis control list, they will just have access to things like Culligan's Command that just can outright destroy the Batterskull that I don't have to worry about if I have Cauldra since it's indestructible. Okay, are we just on a Delver start? Or is this Grixis control? I mean, still could be something like Sneak and Show. Okay, we're just chilling. I guess I'll just kind of put this into play. I'll be attacking for 5 right now. Okay, what are we doing? Okay, are we just casting a Show and Tell? Seems possible. That is indeed what is happening. So this is going to be Force pitching the Brainstorm. Alright, opponent is fighting back here. It seems like they must have Omniscience because I have onboard Caracas. That's not really great for me. In case I'm wrong, I guess I'll put in Baron. Yeah, there's Omniscience. I don't think I want to bounce my Stoneforge Mystic here. Like, value is value and everything, but number of permanents probably matters more here. Yeah. Good Source of Plowshares this right here, but I'll just bounce it at end of turn. Going to outright lose to... Going to outright lose to my opponent hitting Emrakul. Alright. That's a no shuffle. That's not good for me. Intuition gets Emrakul, and I lose to that. Like, I'm not technically dead to it, but with the resources that I have, yeah. Alright. I will concede there. Because by putting the Batterskull in play, I go up 1 permanent, but that's not enough to actually win here. Yeah, so on the Cauldra note, if I had attacked with a Cauldra, my opponent would have been at 5 lower life, and then my opponent would not have had the option to draw another 7 cards with Grizzlebrand. Alright. Lavinia, I guess, does some stuff against, like, Lotus Petals and such. All Breacher does some stuff. Thoughtseize does some stuff. Click, Force of Negation, and I guess Mystical Dispute. So that's 8 cards. Jitte seems pretty dead. Prismatic Ending seems pretty dead. Copy of a creature you control. That might just be a effective another land. Lion Sash doesn't seem great. Swords aren't exactly great either. Like, when a Grizzlebrand slips in play, it's bad for all sorts of reasons. How many more cards? I need to cut 5 more cards. I want these if my opponent is playing the, like, blue baby show and tell token creature, whose name I'm forgetting right now. If they're not, I probably don't want that. So this is kind of my 28th land. It's fine to cut that. I'd like cut that or cut 1 random Baleful Strix. Cut 1 random Baleful Strix. I am land light here, but I have good hate cards. And half of my combo already. I'm going to keep this acknowledging that there's some degree of risk. I probably keep this, but don't do end of turn Brainstorm. Alright. Opponent, okay. And that's super scary. That means show and tell can come next turn. I'm very much not ready for that. Alright, the plan has changed. I will end of turn Brainstorm, but I might lose the game on the spot for doing it. This will be Tundra, so I can actually cast this Meddling Mage if I hit a land drop. Okay, cool. And there is my 3rd land drop. Oh, I should have taken out this Plague Engineer. That card's very bad. Kind of goes without saying, but it's very easy to miss sideboarding things when you are playing with a weird Yorion deck list for the first time. Okay. That's not happening for me. That's tricky. My Hull Breacher off a show and tell could do. Oh wow, they. Okay, so they probably kept a hand. We'll play that as the land. They probably kept a hand that goes off if they draw a blue source. So we could get a free one here, just by the. Oh, disgusting. Just by the nature of my opponent getting stuck on mana. I'm going to play this to Fairy to increase the chances of my Hull Breacher resolving and just being gross. Nice. And I will just plus that and give a little love tap. I've also made it significantly harder to go off over the course of 2 turns. Because like Teferi bouncing something that they put in off a show and tell is like very real. Don't really want to draw that, but I don't think it matters. Give them a little squid love here. We take these games. And end of turn, I'll go ahead and throw this in. Okay, and that's enough from my opponent. Okay, Plague Engineer goes out. Let's just get like maybe the Baleful Strix back in. This has a reasonable mix of lands and spells and has my entire combo in hand, albeit slowly. I'll keep this with a Wasteland as a disruption, but it's like, like absolutely borderline mulligan. I think with the ability to just brainstorm for a Force of Will or Force of Negation, though, in moments of danger, this is not crazy. Okay, sure. That's fine. It makes me more nervous when my opponent doesn't fetch when they're playing this deck, and like cast a cantrip, because that just tends to mean that they have everything already. That was 1 bottom, 1 top there. Don't really want another Strix. If this was a blue producing land, I don't think I would consider end of turn Brainstorm, but since that does not make blue, I probably have to consider it. Okay, looks like we're just gonna kill for another turn. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and dig a little for disruption here. Is this an Underground Sea? It looks like an Underground Sea. And let's smooth this out. Yeah. Mimic can go back. That's my least valuable card here. And then I'll just redraw the other card. So let's clear top of library and draw a new card. Thundra is fine. Work towards multiple multiple white sources for if I draw Palace Jailer. Alright, Baleful Strix. Could really use a force effect here. Yep, so like in this matchup, the fact that I have all these like cantripping and tutor things just feels very slow. As opposed to the normal build of this. Okay. I am going to get Recruiter of the Guard. No, that getting Palace Jailer doesn't actually sound all that good, does it? I'll use it to get Nomads en-Kor. And then if for some reason my opponent doesn't win this turn, I win next turn. Alright. Mission's not great for me here. Yes. Nomads. And we'll see how bad this is. Oh? I mean, we'll try. There's this. There is a Force of Will, unfortunately. But opponent couldn't kill me immediately. So that means they're just playing off the top of the deck. And if I make it another turn, we can try to find another Cephalid Illusionist with Recruiter of the Guard. And then have a kill in 2 turns. We're just 100% fully at the mercy of the top of my opponent's deck. Okay, they're just Veil of Summering to just purely cycle into a new card. Okay, land is great. Grizzlebrand is less great. As obviously not pressuring my opponent's life total here. So I assume that ends up killing me. Surgical on the Illusionist is rough. Now I don't have a possible kill next turn. I have to beat my opponent in fair combat. That might be my death knell right there. Yeah, I feel very awkward in this matchup in terms of role because my opponent is the faster combo deck and the more consistent combo deck than I am, and I'm not as strong of a control deck as a dedicated control deck. Like, my clock's pretty anemic, like, with this sort of stuff, so the opponent is just kind of innately favored. How the fuck am I not dead, though? That is my real question. Like, opponent drew 7. Whole Cabal Therapy situation, not exactly great. Just, Cabal Therapy versus Grizzlebrand is not the fight that I want to be playing. Name Force of Will here. Okay, opponent. Wow, opponent only has a Flusterstorm in hand as far as real cards go. That is not bad for me. In that case, I'm going to go ahead and cast a Recruiter of the Guard and go for something that answers this Grizzlebrand. Question is, do I want the Palace Jailer or do I want the Solitude? If I draw a white card, I can potentially pitch cast the Solitude and play Batterskull. If I draw a Palace Jailer, like, that card will continue to just give me card advantage. I think I'm just going to take the Jailer here. I think most of the time I just die to my opponent drawing another 7 cards, though. Like, I'm somewhat surprised they didn't just draw another 7 last turn. I just feel like that beats me. Sure. Alright, yeah, there's the draw 7. Okay, backup Omniscience, just in case. And, you know, Grizzlebrand will do. Like, losing 6 permanents here on this board is just too much. Like, if I still had my combo in the deck, like, there's a potential that I could win from that amount of cards, but otherwise, eh. Okay, Cunning Wish can kill me one way or another. It probably gets Firemind's Foresight into, like, an Eldamri's Call that tutors up Grizzlebrand, or something like that. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Yeah, so Cunning Wish. Alright, they don't have another CMC2 because they already used their Impulse. And Brainstorm. Yeah. Oh, okay. I will absolutely let my opponent do a Release the Ants kill. This is cool if you haven't seen this one before. So this does 1 damage to an opponent, and then you clash with the opponent. If you win, you return this to your hand. So my opponent is going to go and get an Emrakul off an Eldamri's Call or Shared Summons or equivalent. Oh, okay, yeah, sure. That's fine too. Anyway, they're going to put an Emrakul on top of their library, so they always win the clash with Release the Ants. Yeah. This is Intuition for Emrakul. Brainstorm, put Emrakul on top, and then shoot me with a Release the Ants laser. Yep. And since I've already explained the combo, I'm going to go ahead and concede here. GG's. My round 2 opening hand just has a Stoneforge Mystic, and without having Kaldra, I don't think that's really viable. I don't love this opening hand, but on 6, I think I keep it. Oh, we're just gonna get fucking bullied by Reanimator. Alright, what's my graveyard hate look like? 3 pieces. Okay. That's not great. That's not great. Okay, we're going now. Okay, yeah. Absolutely. I lose the Brainstorm here, almost 100. Oh, okay, sure. That's nice. I guess I play Delta Pass and hope to Brainstorm into Force of Will plus blue card. That's pretty unlikely to happen in an 80 card deck list, but that's probably my best shot of beating an Exhume or equivalent that is about to happen. Let's go Underground Sea here since Caracas is going to be my next land drop. Oh wait, I don't even get to do this because of the Chancellor from the beginning of the game. Okay, resolves then. Maybe should have just played Aether Vial out on my turn to cancel the Chancellor trigger. It doesn't, like, stop this from getting into play or anything, but it would have cleared that trigger for the future. Okay, they're going deeper. Alright. They produced the Chancellor here. I think I'll just concede to it. Like, I can bounce a Grizzlebrand out of play, yeah. I think with that start, I'm just not winning. Okay. All Breacher, Kaya, Lavinia is probably medium minus. Like, it technically does stuff, but slowly. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes, yes. Lavinia is borderline. Don't need you. Lion Sash is reasonable. Don't need Jitte. Don't need Plague Engineer. Those are starting points, but I still just have a lot, like, just physically a lot of cards that I'm bringing in. Don't need Skyclave, really. I probably don't need both Jailer and Solitude. Yeah, I feel like I'm the awkward control deck in these combo matchups, and I don't really love it. I think I'm going to junk Batterskull, because I'm usually going to try to get Lion Sash. Imagine I don't need Soul Herder Recursion. And keep this Solitude since it's pitch castable. From here, I'm not really sure. Like, maybe I don't play Mystical Dispute. It's better versus blue combo considerably. It's just a bad counterspell. Maybe Click's too slow to matter. Maybe I can cut a land drop here and, like, one Swords to Plowshares. Like, you're trying to stop the creature from getting into play a lot of times when you can. That has no land. Like, Double Force of Will is cool and all, but I think I have to make land drops or I reasonably can't win. I'll keep this. And the Shuko just goes back here. Alright. I'm going to lead on Flooded Strand so that I have the possibility of having multiple white sources in play quickly for Lion Sash if I rip something like a Tundra. Who is this targeting? Unmask targeting themselves. I think I'm actually just going to stop them from getting that card. Well, yeah, I think I'm just going to try to stop them from getting a card into the graveyard in the first place. Like, I know I have Lion Sash to answer the cards that are in the graveyard, but my opponent has already made their land drop, so they've shown me that they can't Faithless Looting. Now, if they have Exhume as well, like, it's not great for me. And yeah, this is kind of what I was talking about. So now I have the possibility of having white available next turn. And I think I am just going to double fetch despite having the Brainstorm. I'll grab, like, Undra, Scrubland. And if opponent doesn't have an Entomb, it's pretty hard for them to go off before my Lion Sash is active. Alright. Okay. No, don't do things. Uh-huh. Cool. Alright. Grief, so I'll lose my Brainstorm here. If their last card is something that puts that Grizzlebrand into play, I'm screwed. Alright. So, doesn't feel good to be playing the old Cephalid Breakfast versus combo decks. Feel, specifically this Yorion version that is, oh jeez, just absolute fucking bully me. Cool. Yeah, my opponent's gonna get to draw 7 more cards. So that may or may not lead to another creature, but it's just awful for me. Damage report. Okay. Didn't you already know I just had that island? I already had that. Opponent's got 11 cards. They can do whatever the fuck they want, though, honestly. Okay. Are you just making a grief from here? Just as well? Oh, no. It's something worse. Archon of Cruelty. Yeah, okay. You know? Alright. Move on. Just snap concede to any opposing combo deck with this build. Not happening. Hey folks, Phil here for a quick plug. Actually, not really a plug, it's just a thank you. My channel has grown so much in the last month. I think I picked up about 1,200 subscribers in a month, which is just awesome, and I crushed so many of my personal records, including having one video break 50,000. Legitimately could not have done it without you all, so, like, thank you so much for the likes and comments you leave on my videos. It means a lot, and I am a very happy gamer boy right now. Alright, back to the magic. I guess I'm keeping this opening hand. This is a hand that has all of the pieces that allows me to goldfish. This is awkward, because, like, this really needs to get a Tundra. I want it to get a Tundra, but I need that white mana a few turns down the line, because this recruiter is going to fish me out the Nomads in core. I think this Glasspool Mimic is just going to be my second land. There's worlds where it's Force of Will fodder instead. Alright, Ponder is fine. Alright, Vile. Do your thing. Built. ETB tapped land is rough there. I still don't know if playing this land is correct, but if we end up in a game versus a control deck and I lose something like this Aether Vial to a fight over a prismatic ending, it's just, like, very much not good for me. And I'll want to have played this. Yeah, and this is exactly the situation that I was talking about. So I'll force, and if my opponent forces back, it's rough. Alright. Cool. And now, like, not having access to Cauldra is so brutal, because that's the difference between this Stoneforge Mystic being super threatening and being crap. So, given that I don't think my Batterskull could actually kill my opponent, I'm just gonna get the Shuko and, like, go towards having the entire combo kill in a turn. Yeah. So my opponent is probably playing some sort of blue-white. All right. Solitude on my turn. Probably Solitude on my turn. Past that, pitching the Recruiter. Don't Cure Murktide Regent. Fetch out, I guess, an Underground Sea. And attempt to win the game via the combo. Hey! We're always going to yield to that. I'm going to save targets and always yield to that. Alright. So, I now will mill my entire deck with Shuko. And each time I hit something like a Narcomoeba, I will put that into play. Okay, so now my entire deck is in my graveyard. I will Grave Return, targeting Thassa's Oracle, sacrificing 3 creatures, and my opponent dies. Okay, proof of concept. The combo does work. And now I have to decide how I'm going to sideboard versus this opponent. It's potentially like the blue-white Murktide Regent Stoneblade deck. What do I want? So, like, is my plan to combo kill my opponent most of the time? Unsure. I think I like Mystical Dispute, Hull Breacher for sure. I think I like Click. I think I like checking the way and trying to combo off. I think that's going to be my plan. I might board in Kaya as well, just as something that kind of hates on the graveyard. I want Douthie Voidwalker in that regard to stop Murktide Regent. Maybe. Let's see what I don't like. I don't think I like Jitte. I don't think I like Meddling Mage. I don't think I like Engineer or Baron. Well, Baron bounces Murktide Regents. That's reasonable. Automatic Ending is probably medium. That gives me 4 of these things. Skyclave seems kind of medium. Gets me 5 of these. Ball Therapy seems medium as well. Like, number of creatures I have in play seems like a limiting factor. I only have 2 Narcomoebas. So I'm not just going to have that third creature that I get to just check the way with. Put the Douthie Voidwalker in for that slot, and then... yeah, I think I want this. Maybe the click isn't good enough. This sounds really bad. I already have the Thassa's Oracle in hand, which is something that I really don't want. I also have a Narcomoeba in hand. That's just going back. This is a reasonable hand where I think I just keep both Cephalid Illusionists and try to combo off with them via Shuko at some point. Alright, opponent. Cast your Ponder or equivalent. As expected. Alright, no shuffle, so they found something they liked. I'm not sure on sequencing of, like, Cephalid Illusionist versus Stoneforge Mystic. I feel like my opponent just lets a Stoneforge Mystic resolve and lets me get that Shuko. But, like, very much could be wrong. The Stoneforge is more valuable than a Cephalid Illusionist, but I am kind of expecting my opponent to have ways of answering the Stoneforge Mystic in play. Let's fetch. I think this is a game where I can reasonably get basics. Oh, are we stifling? Okay. Like, kind of a weird time to cast that Containment Priest and, like, tell me what's going on. But alright. So do I still Stoneforge for Shuko? Because, like, this is gonna stop me from getting it in play, but I do have Teferi to bounce that thing and any number of other ways to answer creatures. I could just get a Batter Skull. Cast a Stoneforge and see where it goes. I get the Batter Skull. Let's try to play a long game. This isn't great versus Prismatic Ending, but I think I'm okay with that. Getting the Shuko just means I'm so all in on this Teferi resolving. That's fine. I'll happily take my 2 and just try to play a long game here. Ooh. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. I'm gonna go ahead and continue to get basics here. Operate on all of my colors and just make my opponent's life slightly awkward. Oh, a blast? Yeah, it's a blast. Yeah, it's an expressive iteration time. Okay, sure. They've made their land drop with that and drawn some card. I'm not just, like, dead to a Murktide Regent because I do have a Swords to Plowshares, so that's nice. They would also like to answer that Containment Priest. Opponent didn't shuffle with their Ponder, so they found something that they like. Daze is a thing that exists. We're just gonna live with that, though. Ooh, this is good enough to get a Force of Will. Oh? Not good enough to get a Force of Will. I think I am going to grab... I have a weird lag burst here. Oh, this is not great. Okay. Game crashed. Admittedly, for the first time in a very long time. But I'll grab my Nomads en-Kor. So now I am looking for another white source so that I can go Swords to Plowshares, Containment Priest, and win in the same turn. I will eat 2 damage here. Fine. Murktide starts to get scary at this point, but it already was. Okay, don't get to draw additional cards. My Brainstorm's dead. The words that were about to come out of my mouth were, I'm in trouble if my opponent draws Force of Will. Okay. Okay. Try to poke this Narset. Alright, didn't get ambushed by a second Containment Priest, which is good. Going to attempt to Swords this Containment Priest, and I'm going to do this around a Daze. And then I'll play a new Illusionist. Life's bad. So I'm nowhere near enough lands to be nice. Got a free Narcomoeba out of that trigger. I am nowhere near enough lands to... Or no, I don't get a free Narcomoeba out of that trigger. Containment Priest is an asshole. Anyway, nowhere near enough lands to be thinking about this. It's turn 6. I think at this point, I'm just gonna, like, loop the entire combo. Well, I guess this has the same effect, right? And gets me ahead for later. I think I just need to, like, loop most of this stuff in play. Well, I guess it actually doesn't have the same effect because of Containment Priest. And, like, find a way to get Containment Priest out of play. And it can't be a bounce effect because my opponent can just recast it. Ugh. Tempo losses. Pretty brutal. I also am down a Narcomoeba already. This card return being in hand also, like, not great. Can't Brainstorm. I guess I am just going to cast some creatures. I guess I could potentially put the Yorion into my hand this turn. Going wide potentially allows me to kill these Planeswalkers, and I'm not guaranteed to rip a land. Sure. I feel so dead. Spirit's broken. It's round 3 of this league. Finding a Pyroblast. Sure. I'm going to lose the Cephalid Illusionist. By the time I get around to playing this Batter Skull, like, a Fairy. I lost Palace Jailer. That would have been an excellent draw. By the time I get around to playing this Batter Skull, a Teferi is just going to eat me alive. This goes up. Doesn't really matter much right now what it's at. I own Teferi. My Teferi is significantly worse than their Teferi. I will still be playing it. My opponent, like, has to have something in their hand because they're not playing things that kill me. Yeah. Oh, wow, Snapcaster Mage. Alright. That's turn. I've got Yorion, Flicker, Recruiter of the Guard as a thing. Or no. Ugh. Wow. Yes, Murktide Regent. Come on out. Just fucking end my suffering. Please. Alright. I'm just going to keep this ticking up in case I can use this to put in like a Yorion or something. Alright, let's get some critters. I want to have access to black, and I want to have access. I'll get an Underground Sea and a Tundra, and that'll be fine. But like, this is not really a great play here, because my opponent can just like Teferi minus nuke this germ, and then I would have to use like 5 mana again in order to equip and get a reasonable attack. Alright, yep. They've just gone and full-on returned the Batterskull to hand again to force me to pay 5 mana, meaning that the Murktide Regent just kills me next turn. Alright, so it's draw an answer to Murktide or I'm dead. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep. Concede. Man, Containment Priest is good against this deck. So the thing is, that's probably a 1 of in their board. So how much do I change my deck to beat that? I guess they also have Mentor. Mentor makes Plague Engineer more reasonable. I feel less good about these Thought Seizes now. Kind of seeing a little bit more of the deck. Let's try something like this. This is to Mana Light. Okay. Keep. Throw the Narcomoeba in the deck. Probably have to get Tundra with Marsh Flats. Not feeling good about the hand. I'm just like not threatening a super fast combo, right? And I need more mana. And I feel very awkward about a Prismatic Ending because I potentially need to Force of Will that because I just don't have mana. This deck might not be playing enough lands. Yeah. Alright. I'll force. Okay. At least my opponent didn't force back. Like, I can get Shuko and my little squid friend with the things that I have. I just cast that? Probably just cast that and use that as a distraction. Like, if my opponent answers the Shuko instead of the Aether Vial, I'm ecstatic because I'm on a single land. Alright. It looks like I've dodged a Prismatic Ending for now. Alright. My opponent fetches. I probably tap my Aether Vial in response. So that Containment Priest isn't just held up and live. Yeah. I just think I need to play around that. So I'll Stoneforge here. Since I don't have the second land, I'm just going to grab Lion Sash. And now we'll see what my opponent has to do. It potentially was just something like an Expressive Iteration, although my opponent's play might change now. It's a Teferi. Bouncing my Aether Vial is insane here. Yeah. At least I get to kill the Teferi in combat. Like, that's the good news. Like, maybe not minorly. It might be as far as majorly. They inconvenience me pretty greatly with their line. And now, like, do I just want to play Aether Vial again, or do I just want to get Lion Sash going and start eating the graveyard to make Murktide less scary? Murktide can already just come down on their turn, though. I think I'll get the Aether Vial going. I think I just need more mana than what I have access to currently. It just sucks, because Prismatic Ending is a thing that exists. Yeah, that's fine. I feel like opponent really has all the time in the world here. I have no real pressure. Okay, sure. So they got their next land drop. And I have to decide what I do with my Stoneforge Mystic, because I can use it to play an uncounterable Lion Sash. Containment Priest is rough if I do that. God, Containment Priest is so good here. Like, if they have it, and I activate Stoneforge Mystic, it's just damning. Or if I attack with Stoneforge and they have it, that also just sucks for me. I guess not if I do this. Turns this into something that could trade with a Containment Priest. Yeah, get in there. And I guess technically that Shuko equip is something that I should have done last turn. I can't really think of very many reasons why that would be relevant, unless opponent plays something like a Stony Silence that just absolutely would destroy me. I need white mana here for Lion Sash. Let's grab a Scrubland and just play this. I think I value this thing being able to attack next turn enough that I just play this into counter spells. Like, I have so many other things that just could get countered later. Alright, you're just gonna pay 2 mana for a Daze. Oh no, Brainstorming in response. Sure. I don't think that's because the Lion Sash itself is threatening. I think that's just trying to smooth out their next turn and find a Mentor Murktide or whatever. Okay, I'm wrong, apparently. Pitching Dress Down. That's one I hadn't seen yet. Ugh, I'm so afraid of my opponent having a real card. And by that I mean a real threat, a finisher. Okay, that's fine. Because basic plains means I can't play Murktide off of those 2 lands. So for either Murktide or Mentor, they will need another land. Okay, I mean, there's their other land. Mystic Sanctuary or Force of Will, sure. Okay, and it is a Murktide Regent. I need a land. I'm okay if I draw a land. Absolutely goes up. Alright. We going for it now? Feels like I'm going for it now because opponent has Force of Will on top of their library. Does not really get better for me to wait here. Let's get an Illusionist. Tap. Yes. And attempt to do the thing. Save targets. Always yield. And seems like unless opponent has Surgical, I probably win. Alright, so here's my first Narcomoeba. I believe I have boarded my Cabal Therapy out. Here's my second Narcomoeba. Alright, and now I'll attempt the Dread Return on the Thassa's Oracle and see if my opponent has something that beats it. I know there's a Force of Will on top of their deck. Okay, they had the Surgical Extraction. That's fine. In which case, I lose. GG's. Like, I can try to play that game more patiently, but, like, with Force of Will on top of their library, I think my chances of, like, beating that Murktide Regent as a clock just go down. So, like, I could have recruited for an answer to Murktide, like, try to answer the Murktide, and then, like, try to play through multiple pieces of interactions still. I don't know how well that actually goes for me. I think I'm fine with going there. Like, I beat Swords to Plowshares, I think. I'm feeling more and more confident that this deck does not have enough mana in it. Okay. This is going to be a keep. I'll throw back the Mimic since it's an ETB tapped land and has the least flexibility here. Alright. We're getting Elvesed, because if we're getting Elvesed, this is an 0-4 drop league. Like, that deck is just faster than I am at comboing. Yep. Okay. 0-4 drop league. That's okay. That happens. Yeah. I've got a turn 4, and my opponent's on the play. It's not happening. So, like, I get turn 2 Illusionist, turn 3 Recruiter, turn 4 combo. But, like, my opponent already has their win condition in play. They just need mana. Nice. That's exactly what I wanted. I am going to play towards the Goldfish. I don't expect to get there, but I'll play towards it. Tundra. Alright, little squid man. Person. Gender of tentacle creature unclear. Let's do it. I give you a speech about anime friendship. Will you make it so my opponent doesn't draw any of their good cards? That would be cool. There are also just worlds where I die this turn. Just absolute full disclosure here. Most of those involve Cradle. Okay. That's just a Boseiju. That's not that big of a deal. Seems like a green sun for a card draw engine. My Force of Will being off is just disgusting here. Really? I probably can't block. I think I just get buried by this anyway. So I'll keep this around and attempt to work towards my turn 4 Goldfish. Ah. Perfect. Another Force of Will. Alright, Another Tundra, I guess. So, a recruiter for my Nomads. I've got to kill next turn. I'm not optimistic, but there's a non-zero chance that my opponent doesn't kill me. Getting game 1 would be so huge. Okay, they're going for putting that in hand. That's good. That means I have fewer creatures that can attack this turn. Okay, this is nice. No whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy. Alright, so 3 mana. Oh, okay. So no Cradle is involved this turn, so that's nice. Natural Order is not nice, though. Oh, it's Grist. Can't be countered. So I'm not immediately dead, but this takes out my Illusionist, so I can't combo off next turn. And my opponent is just so very far ahead. So turn 4 Goldfish has failed unless I top deck a Cephalid Illusionist. Okay. There's an untap. Stuff. Still can't be countered. Card's good. Not quite a total luck sack, but that's a good draw. Because that means I can repeat next turn what I just tried previously by getting a new Illusionist. Alright. The next turn I do have 3 mana to play both of these and combo off. Again, though, every turn is just more time for my opponent to draw Natural Order or Cradle. Yeah, they're going for more card draw, so they maybe don't have everything all together yet. Alright, sure. I think we have officially entered, like, Elf-Cestral Visionary, Elf-Cestral Recall territory. Alright, 3 mana. Is it Natural Order time? Okay, there's an untap. Oh my god, I'm still not dead. This is so nice. Opponent's drawn a decent number of cards, too. They're at 42 cards in library. Alright, sure. Dodging Cradle all this time is sick. Like, the Cradle taps for 6 as of right now. And that's a very convenient number. Alright, they're going. Yeah. Tapping those creatures there is kind of weird if they just have the Cradle mana, though. Unless they need to Green Sun? Okay, this is a little strange to me. They may have their reasons, though. Like, they're trying to just maximize the Cradle. But it seems like untapped bodies are pretty valuable. Alright. I feel like I'm dead. Like, they only have 2 attacking creatures. But I can only block for 2 and, like, these trample. Alright. Had more game there than I expected, but I'm an absolute dog in this matchup. Alright, this is a destruction machine. Probably need Force of Negation, and I don't know. They're so bad versus Allosaurus Shepherd. I like Hull Breacher. Like, I probably need some number of counter spells. I don't know how deep I want to go, and like the Thought Seizes aren't great versus just like Elvish Visionary bouncing. I don't think I need Lion Sash. I don't think I'm gonna have time to get a Soul Herder engine online. I think I want the Therapy to check for endurance before fully comboing off in instances where I can reasonably do so. Baron doesn't seem particularly great. That gets me these 3, and then I can consider, like, Thoughtseize, Lavinia, Click as cards that have text, but I don't know that they're going to be better than other things that are in here. Skyclave's kind of slow. Teferi's kind of slow. I think I'll just keep them, though. I don't know. Like, the Force of Wills are great when Allosaurus Shepherd isn't involved. But maybe Thoughtseize is just better. I don't know. Like, Thoughtseize is just so poor versus the draw engines that deck has. Mana doesn't work. Yeah, I keep this, I guess. Like, this is my entire combo, and I put most of it in and off Ether Vial. I think I pitched the Brainstorm here since I can't actually cast it. Like, and is absolutely sketch. But I think I'm just good with it. And I think I keep the 2 lands over the Brainstorm so that I have something to pitch to Force of Will. But, like, you could make an argument. Alright, let's see how bad turn 1 is for me. Real bad. I think I just lose the Stoneforge Mystic here, because that represents like both Jete and Shuko and potentially Cauldra, but I don't actually have that. I am wrong. Alright. I just play this as a land, I think. I am going to play this. And I am going to pick up the Jete, because that is a way for me to potentially steal this game. Like, I can grab Shuko. Oh, wow. Absolutely fuck me. I can grab Shuko and try to go for a combo kill, but that's so reliant on me top decking specific things in an 80 card deck. I think I'd rather just try and go for like Jitte, get it equipped, kill some elves with it. That requires like a Wirewood symbiote to blank. If my opponent has it. No, but they have something that can potentially live through a Jitte. Alright, up you go. Delta, sure. I will play out a very anemic Jitte. And next turn I can put a Yorion into my hand, I guess. Will not be F6ing through my opponent's turn, because I want to represent, like, end of turn, put in a creature. How am I on, like, 2 drops versus 3 drops? Drag this to the screen here. So, I have more 2 drops than 3 drops. So the next question is, like, am I working Vile towards 5? I don't think I am. I think I'd rather leave this on 2 and just increase the chance that I can put in a surprise creature. Alright, so yeah, this can get a scrubland. I'd rather have an underground sea, though. That gives me black as well as blue. I think I will put Yorion into my hand as something that I can use with a Force of Will. Alright, so before Cradle gets involved, I am just going to get rid of this creature. Now my Force of Will is on. And there's the Cradle as expected. My opponent just has 6 power in play that they can kill me with in about 3 turns. So I don't know how much this Force of Will actually matters. No. Like, you don't have many cards in hand, but I just can't risk that spiraling out of control. Like, that very much could be a bait Glimpse of Nature, because opponent knows exactly what my 2 cards are. So that Force of Will does mean I am exactly at 18. It does change the clock. Life's bad. Life's worse. Alright, I'll leave this at 2, I guess. And that's a dead draw. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 easily, and I am just dead. Alright. It's time to give up on this deck. This is the point where I just drop. I've got some issues with the deck list. So overall thoughts on the deck list. I don't feel like this deck has enough mana. I very frequently mulliganed hands because I either had the wrong colors or I did not have enough mana. Let me do a quick comparison check of mana count. So pulling up a random Death and Taxes Yorion list, looks like they are playing 33 lands, and counting the Glasspool Mimic, this has 28. So I don't think this has enough mana sources. I don't think the Yorion is good in this deck. In this league, I put it into my hand a single time, and I only pitched it to Force of Will when I did so. Admittedly, we played against some combo decks where, like, that was slow. Like, just too slow. But this entire league, every round, I just wanted to be on a 60-card version of this deck that was just sleeker and more able to combo off consistently. So if you're going to play the Yorion version, I think you need more lands, but I think a 60-card version of this is better. I also think that this deck should have Cauldra over Batterskull. I think that is just a much more threatening card. Not once in this entire league did I have the time to set up something like a Soul Herder loop. So like I very much am down with this just being a 60-card more focused combo list, because I think I end up being a clunky combo deck and a clunky control deck at the same time, rather than getting the best of both worlds. As far as the sideboard goes, like, the sideboard was medium. I Don't feel like it was an absolute slam dunk, but I had cards to bring in a lot of rounds. I didn't feel like I was super missing any effect or anything. Um, Although I will say that very few of these cards are singularly strong enough that they just win the game on their own, right? Like these are things that supplement a general game plan rather than like cards like Choke or Carpet of Flowers, where when you draw them in the right matchup, they're just astounding. Um, yeah. So I don't feel like this deck has a lot of singularly powerful cards. It requires multiple things coming together to work well, and like tripping over the mana was not great here. So this one gets a thumbs down from me, unfortunately. I hope it was still enjoyable in some ways. We did the thing a couple of times, but this was a beating. Have a great rest of the day, folks. Consider throwing me some pity likes on the way out. Ugh. See ya.